Good evening, wonderful people. It's Mark Wilkinson here. Welcome to the Life Remixed book club. First time I've ever been to a book club, let alone hosted one. But it's going to be fun. We're going to do this every single week. Now the book is actually released, of course. It's out there on Amazon. You can order yourself a copy, of course, there, Life Remixed. And we're going to do this every week. Every Tuesday evening, we're going to have a book club. And I'm going to have some wonderful people that have read the book, friends and people I know, and all kinds of other people from around the world that are going to join us with their take and their story and their share and their takeaway from the book as well. So it's going to be a really good session. Now, if you would like to be in the book club, we're going to have different people throughout the 14 weeks of the 14 chapters. If you'd like to be in the book club, all you got to do is send me a message. Let me know if you'd like to be involved. We've got a few people ready and waiting already for next week, which is great. And some of these people that are here will come back and we'll all keep sharing. So it's going to be fun. Those of you that know me know that I'm a massive top colour yellow in e-colours, which is all about socialising and people. And it's been a challenging time for many of us, obviously, in the last 12 months. But thankfully, due to the wonders of the internet and StreamYard and everything else, we can still collectively get together, certainly in the virtual world. So it's all good. But as I say, if you want to join us over the next 14 weeks, you can reach out to me and be involved. Or you can just buy the book yourself, read along, and obviously make your own journey along the way, of course. So let me introduce my guests one by one. I'll bring them in slowly but surely, and then they can all say hello. Let me bring in Pete first. Hello, Pete. How are you?
Good evening, Mark. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for being here, mate. I really appreciate it. Next up, we'll bring in Diana. Here she is. Hello, Diana.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Pete.
How are you? Okay.
I'm good, thank you.
Marvellous. Excellent. Okay. And then let's bring it in Ian. Hello, Ian. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Excellent, mate. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being in the inaugural book club. Right, it's all good. And here's Caroline. Hello, Caroline. How are you?
Hi, Mark. I'm good. Hope you are too.
Excellent. Yes, I'm doing really, really well. Thank you. It's all great to hear you. And last but by no means least is Penny, my old school friend. Hello, Penny.
Hi, Mark. Hi, everyone.
How are you? Okay.
I'm good. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Well, first of all, thanks all for being here. I haven't had 6 people on the screen before, so this is a whole new experience. But it's going to be fun, and I'm sure we're going to find out a bit about ourselves and each other, and some interesting comments and things from other people. If you'd like to be in the stream as well, by the way, we're live across 8 platforms. If you'd like to be in the stream, wherever you're watching, drop us a message. And get yourself onto the screen. So Kevin in Canada has joined us, and Kev just says, looking forward to hearing from the first chapter. So welcome along, Kev. Thanks for being here, mate. Any of you other guys that would like to watch or be a part of the stream, and I think this might be Emma, by the way. I think Emma's watching, but funnily enough, it's come up as me. And it says, don't worry, guys, there's only millions of people watching you all around the world. But that's from me. How have I done this? How have I done this amazing skill? I don't know. I think that might be my wife logged in as me, to be honest. Thanks, Emma. So anyway, look, we're live across lots of platforms. This is also a podcast. It's going to go out onto Apple Podcasts. There's a Life Remix podcast. We are everywhere, literally. We've got all bases covered, so it's great. So we're going to a quick fire round first, and I'll just make my way around the screen. So I'll go Pete, Diana, Ian, Caroline, just as I can see everybody. Pete, explain how we know each other.
We met at Heathrow Airport, and you came in as a health and safety coordinator for the company that I was working with, who I've recently just left, funnily enough. And we sort of hit off with a sort of great relationship. And my role is challenging, to say the least, being in construction and, working at Heathrow. It can be at times very pressured, and sometimes that lid did lift, and you seem to be the calmness that I needed. And I always knew there was something special about you, Mark, way before this book was released and all the rest of it. And I may sound like you paid me for all this praise and gratitude that I give you, but you honestly don't. But it's taken a while for me to sort of realize that there is something behind this. And as you know, without going on too much and keeping everyone else waiting, I have made some massive recent decisions and choices in my life that are down to you, my friend.
And we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that, Pete, and I love that, mate. Thank you.
No problem.
What's your favourite music?
You know what my favourite music is.
Why don't you tell me?
Well, we lived through the same era, didn't we? With the whole dance music, acid house, and then it went into hardcore rave, and then it was more house music at the end of it all. So we have a very similar, music taste, I guess. And I like nothing better than listening to you play on a Saturday night and throwing some dad dancing out there.
Yes. So if anyone who watches, who's listening to this or watching this, Pete is the legendary dancing dad. He's the legendary dancing dad on my Mixcloud DJ sessions on a Saturday night.
I never thought I'd be trending. Put it that way. There's actually people now following on, which is great.
Hang on, mate. Hang on. Emma's saying dancing dad in the flesh. Look, we can actually hear it. No, brilliant. I love it. So, just quickly, where are you up to in Life Remixed at the moment? I know you've started, haven't you?
I have started it. I'm up to chapter 3 because I'm still trying to read the other 6 books that you've recommended. So, I've got Napoleon Hill. I've got Og Mandino.
Yeah.
And most importantly,
yes, very good.
Should have read this years ago, by the way. Highly recommended. Every man should read this, and woman, of course. But
yeah, but it's particularly important for the masculine to understand what's in that book.
Both, and very. You don't realize, you just don't realize. But I think you put it into words the other day, saying that we are created from a man and woman, so we do hold the masculine and feminine within us all. And I should have read this at 18 years old. My life would be different.
The thing about it is, Pete, if you'd have read it when you're 18 years old, if I'd have said to you, read this when you're 18 years old, you'd have been like, shut up, I'm going out for a party. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, look, we are where we are. That's what we do, right? So lovely. Thank you, Pete. Really appreciate that. So Diana, hello, welcome.
Hi, hello.
And so explain how we know each other.
So, I'm a great believer in the law of attraction, and I reached a point in my journey, because I'm writing a book, as you know, Mark, and I put it out to the universe that I think the time was right for me to get myself a coach, because I think I needed help to be a little bit more accountable. I was kind of procrastinating a little bit on stuff and wasn't really getting there. So I literally put it out there and asked the universe to find me to bring me the right coach, and lo and behold, he brought me you. And I think actually, I'm just really inspired, because actually I've got so much more than just not just coaching, but so much more than coaching. I'm really enjoying, my Life Remix journey. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, and I'm enjoying your book, and I'm looking forward to picking up again with you in the next week or so, aren't I? So,
thank
so
you.
that's going to be great. Favourite sort of music, Diana? What moves you?
Well, I'm of the same age as you, Mark, as you know. So clearly I'm a house fan and a hardcore raver. But my favourite music, really, if I'll be absolutely honest, is 80s. I'm a bit of a sad sap, and I do listen to, I just love the 80s. So yeah, I'm back in.
Are we talking like 80s soul
80s
music?
pop.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm
really guilty pleasures.
I was always about the 80s soul music. So you Fatback
I love 80s soul as well.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. Right, good stuff. And where are you up to in Life Remixed at the moment?
So I'm up to chapter 6 at the minute, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I just find I love the way that, the humour that you've intertwined with it, really, to be honest with you. It's cracking me up, and I'm thinking, wow. And it's so real. I feel like I know you. I mean, obviously, we've only been working together for a short time, but I really feel like I'm getting to know you, and it's really inspiring. So, yeah. What I like about it as well is I feel like it's a workbook as well, as opposed to some of the other books. I feel like, I'm going to read it and then go back and then do the other little bits, all those little bits. So yeah,
that's great. And I think that's one of our plans. We've got plenty of plans coming up with extra bits of marketing coming up. And one of the things is to do a workbook where actually people can just take the workbook itself without reading all the story, but actually just do the exercises and get on with them, and because it's not just about, some people are thinking Life Remixed is all about me, and it isn't. It's like, look, it's a bit about me, of course, because this is all the crazy crap that I got up to. But then, you know, there's other stories in here about, you know, well, not even stories, just exercises and things that you can apply to your own life. And as long as you apply it to your own life, you're going to get a positive outcome the way I have. So, you know, that's the important bit, right? So brilliant. Thank you, Diana. Okay, let's move on to Ian. Hello, Ian.
Hello, mates.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Ian's our guy from Bali who's moved the opposite way that most people do. He's gone from Bali to London rather than from London to Bali. So he's in London here at the moment. But like about 3 months ago, he was in Bali sunning himself. But I believe you got bored in the end, didn't you? I don't know.
I don't know if it was a case of getting bored.
There was a mission for you here in the UK, right, Ian?
There was, yes. It was. I was enjoying myself in Bali, and a lot of relentless lockdowns here were taking a bit of strain. So it's just nice to come and support family for a while. Yeah,
too right, mate. Too right. So, explain a little bit about how we know each other.
We met a number of years ago when I still do coach the E-Colours program, and I was passing through London for whatever reason, and my boss, Lewis Senior, said, "You got to go and meet this guy, Mark. Head out to Heathrow. He loves the E-Colours. Just go and have a chat, and let's see if anything's possible out there." And we met up. You had been running a workshop, and just had an immediate sort of connection. I loved your passion, and although we didn't do anything at the time, we've both followed each other's journeys ever since. And like you say, came here a few months ago, and it's given us a great opportunity to really reconnect in person and really look to bring the E-Colours and the understanding of that deeper self-awareness and personality diversity to the UK. So very exciting time.
And one of the things that most people don't know about you, unless they followed you, is that you've actually trained the E-Colours in North Korea, I believe.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, and you've been all over the globe doing this as well. You've been offshore and rigs and shipping and all over the world training E-Colours to people for 10, 20 years, 15 years?
Yeah, around 10 years now, over 10 years, and really specialising in understanding how and why people make mistakes, and particularly from that personality perspective, understanding different people with different personalities really see and manage risk differently. So helping them raise that awareness and then giving them tools to manage that.
And that's it. And that's something we're going to be doing a lot with in the UK, because the E-Colours actually really helped me open my eyes to who I am and how I operate. Yeah. And I actually used I used the E-Colours information to go from signing on after a DJ career, going what's happened, to actually up the board of directors of senior management and Heathrow Airport and all this other kind of stuff. And I used the E-Colours, understanding that not weaknesses, potential limiters, we call them, those potential limiters within me, strengthening those to get better. And it's a fabulous program, and we'll talk more about it, Ian, of course. So just where are you up to in Life Remixed at the moment? I think you might have.
Well, I had the pleasure of getting an advanced copy and did a bit of a big picture overview and had the privilege of writing an endorsement. So got the big picture, and I've since been going back and just sort of picking chapters that I really want to delve deeper into. So around purpose and around money and health, and so I'm sort of bouncing around the place at the moment.
And I'm hoping you're finding that a very useful exercise, because ultimately, if you've read it once through, but then you can go back and pick certain bits that really resonate with you, then I think that becomes a useful exercise, because it's just things that I've learned and things that you can apply to what you're doing, Ian. So good on you. And also, I believe I think you were kind enough to write me an Amazon review. So I do appreciate that. And if anyone else finishes the book and you'd like to write me an Amazon review, they are very much appreciated. So let's keep moving around the circle, if you like. Caroline, hello. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Mark.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here. How do we know each other?
Well, I'm actually Pete's older sister, and I was 13 when he was born, so there's a bit of an age gap, but he's obviously worked with you at Heathrow, and he talked about you quite a bit, saying how impressed he was, how calm this guy was, and he's always talking to me about that, and because I've had different stresses in my life as well as as Pete, so we have a very close relationship. So we phone each other when things go wrong and things like that, so we support each other. So he said, you must follow this guy, you've got to read his book, and you come on. And he drags me on Saturday night if I don't log on, and I'm a lot older, and I don't listen. I wasn't around. Well, I was around, but I wasn't sort of into house music, shall we say? So
but you're still enjoying it though.
Every Saturday night now, I listen to it.
Watching out for Pete's dancing dad videos, absolutely. Bless you. So, Ian, I forgot to ask you what your favourite sort of music is. What is it?
Funk and soul.
Funk and soul. Good.
Funk and soul. I'm good.
Yeah, absolutely. If it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing, mate. It's got to have a bit of soul to it. Absolutely. So, Caroline, sorry, what's your favourite sort of music?
I've got quite an eclectic taste, really, because I still do like some of the big band sounds as well, but which is not my era, but I like that sort of music. But I was sort of my teens. I went through like Northern Soul, so I like that kind of music. So I love that. Very exciting time for me, I thought. And
Northern Soul was actually a fantastic period in the because I'm sort of somewhere in the age group between you and Pete, and I missed Northern Soul. I was too young for it. Acid House was my age group at 18. When that all kicked off. But there's a fantastic film. I think it's just called Northern Soul or something. I can't remember the name of it exactly, but it's a great film about Northern Soul, and the soundtrack to it is just phenomenal. And that music and all the sort of like clubs in Wigan and in the north and stuff like that, that just adopted this kind of real high energy sort of black soulful sound and just grabbed it and just went with it. I mean, it's a fantastic story, Northern Soul, and I love it. And it was kind of, I suppose it was Northern Soul, then punk, and then house, and then anyway,
yeah.
So, but no, all good. So, how far are you through the book, Caroline?
I'm on chapter 4
nice.
now.
Okay.
I found it really easy to read, but then I feel like I keep needing to go back and read that bit again. But it's so easy to read, and I love your sense of humour in it, and all the things that go wrong, because it reminded me of my teens when I drank too much, smoked too much, hitchhiked everywhere in the 70s, which my father didn't know about.
We all did some strange things, didn't we? We did some strange things. I had to come clean to my mum about some stuff. I was like, Mum, listen, there's some stuff in here that you need to know about that I'm really sorry about. Just like, as for getting a train up to like York to watch a Chelsea game at night and ended up back in King's Cross at like 3 o'clock in the morning trying to get a night bus. I was like 14. I was like, what? Asking for trouble.
I did confess to my parents, who are in their 80s now. I confessed to them that I actually laid in the back seat of an MG sports car to go down to London to a gig. I just laid across the back between the two seats. Across the back of
I'm sure they forgive you now, Caroline. I'm sure they do. So, brilliant. Okay, thanks, Caroline. And Penny. Hello, Penny.
Hi, Mark.
We haven't seen each other for probably 30 years, maybe 35 years, haven't we? And yet we've connected here because we were school club. We were in the same class at school, I think, for quite a few years.
Yeah, not all of them, because I was naughty like you. So it was in the bottom sets. And
Well, look, we can't all be good at everything. Yeah, some of us have to be in the top, and some of us, I was in the bottom of a few things for sure. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it was. We were both quite. Rebellious, I seem to remember.
I think we went to school to socialise, Mark. That's what it was all about: partying and socialising and making.
I think you're right, and I think I've grasped that and taken it on further in my life, to be honest. But that's how we know each other. Without going for too long, what's been going on the last 35 years? I'm joking. I'm joking. Favourite sort of music, Penny? What moves you?
Well, obviously the music back in the days. I mean, you was out at 18 clubbing. I was at home with a child at 18, so that was the difference. So I did a bit more clubbing at 21, but no, all the dance, acid house music,
I remember. I think I put it in the book at the last minute. I remember the school leaving disco when we were like 16, and I grabbed the microphone. And I'm like the shy one, right? I'm like Will from the In-Between. I'm like the shy one. I grabbed the microphone because I was drunk. I grabbed the microphone and started singing the Steve Walsh part of like a fat. Tell me what have you found? Like, what am I doing?
I think we were all a little little bit too drunk to remember.
I'll say this. My brother just sent me a little message a while ago. He said, I'm reading your book, because he made a quote at the start of the book. He said something about the fact it's like a cross between the In-Betweeners and a Tony Robbins seminar. In itself is quite funny. But then he sent me another message, which some of you have seen because I shared it. And he said something like, I'm reading your book. It's like an episode of the In-Betweeners was kicked out because it was too far-fetched. He's a funny guy, my brother. He's a funny guy. Right. So I'm just going to throw it out there now that we're all here. We're going to be here for a while. So if you want to be a part of the stream, then obviously say hi. Hodan is saying hi, everyone. Hi, Hodan. Hope you're good. If anyone's watching us on YouTube or LinkedIn or anywhere like that, feel free to jump in and be a part of the stream. As far as the endorsements go of the book, why don't you all pick a favourite one? Is there, you take it in turns, or whoever wants to go first? Let's do a little free for all. Who had a favourite endorsement from someone?
It's got to be Bob Proctor, Mark. It's got to be Bob, hasn't it? Straight from the top.
Wow moment.
It doesn't get any better than that, really, does it? Come on. You see, obviously I've been listening and following all the rest of it, and I took a bit of a leaf out of it, and I started listening to Bob doing all my car journeys, and I've found now with Audible, it's an amazing way to get, through books, using that time that I'm on the motorways or wherever I'm traveling to back, just to get that information, going. Because why not learn while you're on the move? Because it is fantastic. And he was saying in the Audible, when you get home, put the tape in your car. I was like, it's classic, and he is obviously, one of your mentors, Mark, and someone who's put you on your journey. And when you did the thing the other day and you played the video, I cried, mate. I cried watching you cry. That was a moment, mate. That right there. If anyone's hasn't seen it yet, you've got to play that again and see the reaction from Matt when you get an endorsement from Bob Proctor, mate. That is just amazing. So I'm sorry, Ian, but Bob Proctor might just have topped you there, Ian.
I think this and come back on that. So what happened was there's a couple of times that things have happened over the last couple of months where you just have to sort of like pinch yourself a little bit, because it's like, is this really happening? So we've written a book. It's a great title. It works really well. I've put lots of effort into it. It's taken 6 months to market it after 10 years of thinking about doing it. We finally get it done. We're actually on a coaching call with Lewis Senior, who we'll talk about in a minute, Ian. But we're on a coaching call with Lewis Senior, me and Emma, and we're talking about e-colours and how we can develop everything we're talking about here in the UK. And all of a sudden, this email just pinged. The email just appeared in the top right-hand side of the screen, and it said it was from like Jen at Hasmart, and we were like. And we were kind of wondering what it was, because they've been and it popped up, and I just looked at it on my phone, and it was the written endorsement from Bob Proctor, that's there on the back of the book. Wow. And literally, I just went, I was like, I'm sorry, Lewis, I really don't mean to be rude in any way, shape, or form. You're a top fella, Lewis. I love you to bits. But I just got to have a little moment here, and I was like, oh God, I can't believe it. It was amazing. And then the other side to that is when that video came through.
Yeah.
When that video came through, it was a week before I showed it to you guys on the YouTube and on the book launch. It was a week before. And I still, I couldn't watch it even on the night. I just couldn't, it was like, 100 people watching us on the night or whatever across live, and then lots of other people watching it afterwards. I couldn't hold it together. Even when I played it to you all, and I was like, what's this? And I was just like, oh no, I felt myself going. I was welling up, and I was going like, oh, because it's like this guy's 86, and he's got the energy of like a 25-year-old, and he's cultivated that over years and years and years of self-development and energy. And, some people get to 50, 60, 70 and think their life's over. What a load of old tosh. You know what I mean? It's like, 50's like, let's get going. You know what I mean? What we're going to do next? You know what I mean? I'm excited. And that's the energy that he brings to his life. And so, just to get those endorsements as they stand right now is phenomenal. And I'm looking forward to working closely with Bob as I go forward, because I know that this guy's got some. I've got some great information, but he's 36 years older than me, so he's got more great information. So I'm going to keep studying with Bob. But yeah, Diana, have you got any? Did anyone jump out to you? Was there anyone who, apart from Bob, or was it just purely the Bob one, or Marcy, or?
But no, Bob did jump at me, obviously, for obvious reasons, for all for everything that Peter said. I think Harry Singer is another one that kind of really did jump out at me, because I kind of heard of him. Maybe I'm living in, I don't know where I've been, but clearly I didn't know too much about him. But he really did quite inspire me. I saw your straight talking with him, and so then it made me sort of research a little bit more about him and that. But yeah, no, I think he was one that really did stand out for me, and I think just what he's doing and everything, and that's really kind of where I'd like to be. So it was just like, I think all of them, even Peggy McCall, I loved her as well, and Ian E-Colours, wow, how illuminating that has been for me. I'm trying to get my husband into it at the minute. I'm dragging him. But yeah, well, so yeah, I've got something.
We've got another E-Colours session on April the 10th, Diana, and you're welcome to bring your husband to that.
I'm going to try.
Well, it's up to him, of course. There's no pressure.
Yeah, of course it is.
If he fancies it, then he's more than welcome to join.
What I love about the E-Colours is the pause, though. I've really started to try and sort of implement that in my life, because I don't think I even thought about it in that way before. But there's certain things that now I'm saying, right, nope, stop. And then, so thank you.
I think it's important. It's important, yeah, because it's important. Sometimes if we're top colour yellow and red, we're like fast forward, like as fast as possible. Get on, and sometimes we've got to make room for other people. And other people have their say, and some people might be a bit slower paced, and they might want to say things slightly, or steady paced, and they'll want to say something in a slightly different way. And I think it's important for us top colour yellows and reds to
especially yellows, because we do like to interject, and now I'm trying to learn not to. Sorry about that.
No, this is beautiful. You're here to chat, so that's important. But I love the fact that you've taken that on board and you're seeing the value in it, Diana. And also as well, like I say, you came to me for book coaching and understanding and moving forward, and yet there's so much more, isn't there? There's so much more.
So
beautiful. Love it. Ian, endorsements, anything that's obviously you endorse, you can talk about yourself if you want, or you might want to mention Lewis Senior. I don't know.
I'll mention Lewis in a sec, but just another point on Bob. It was completely mind blowing, and what I loved about Bob's endorsement was the comparison with Og Mandino, and that was a book that I read when I was a bit lost as I think late teens, maybe early 20s, and it was a book my dad recommended, and I got to thank him for that. And it was just profound. So for Bob Proctor to draw comparisons with someone as the ilk of Og Mandino speaks volumes about who you are and the power of this book. So that just blew me away. From Lewis's perspective, or from his endorsement, the way he speaks about you, and he loves when people just get the power of understanding personality diversity, and for you to understand it and want to share that with as many people. He just thinks the world of you. So I don't know what else to really say about that. So that one really spoke to me. Obviously, being an E-Colours coach and understanding and having worked with people all over the world to really now partner you in bringing that to hopefully as many people as we can here in the UK. It's really exciting.
Well, that's the mission. And some of you may know of Jason Anker, MBE. Jason's going to be joining me on Straight Talking in a couple of weeks' time, and he's just done his E-Colours today, Ian, and he says it's incredible. So we're going to be talking to Jason Anker, MBE, more on E-Colours and everything else as well. And Jason, if you don't know much about him, he was 24 when he had a workplace accident. He fell off a ladder. He's never walked again. And it's an incredible story. It gives me goosebumps even now just talking about it. We think we've had it tough. This guy's had it really tough. He's an inspiring character now. He's an MBE. He's turned his life around. He's made a beautiful job of his life, and he helps a lot of people. Does a lot of public speaking. Pete, you might remember at Heathrow, and Jason Anker was always doing talks at Heathrow to the construction workers, to get them to understand that, and he's talking a lot now. And one of the interesting things about that as well, Ian, is obviously there's the whole piece in E-Colours about how I can get hurt. And that whole piece about how I could get hurt at work. And, if I make a mistake or I jump in too quickly to help someone else, or if I'm following too many procedures and not helping enough, there's so much to it. It's going to be a really interesting conversation, that, Ian. So watch this space on that one. Caroline, did you any of the endorsements really jump out at you anywhere?
Yeah, I've actually started to write them down, the ones that stood out for me, but I didn't put who they're from, so I feel really bad now. But in the front of my diary, I've written them down so I can just see them, as soon as I open it. That like attracts like. That's the first one I've got written down, and I don't know who said that, because I thought, is that right? That's really made me think hard. Because some things that have gone wrong, I think. So was I, what was wrong with me that made me attract that?
I think what's interesting to that, Caroline, is there is no right or wrong unless we think it's so. There is no good or bad unless we think it's so. And actually, when we talk about like attracts like, it's going to be on a vibration level. So, and many people have got we've all got subconscious, but many people don't know about it. And that's the interesting thing. Many people don't even understand the subconscious or the vibration they're in or anything like that. So they might think that, well, I'm a good person, or I do everything right, and it's all going, et cetera, et cetera. But if they've got something in their subconscious that was programmed when they were kids, generally, if there's something sitting in there that's dragging them down, they'll still attract. So if you might have a subconscious fear, and it might attract a subconscious anger, for instance. And then like attracts like in that way, in a negative vibration, but it causes a negative result, even though you might think everything's sort of okay, but actually it's not. And so it's a fascinating thing. And one of the hardest things you'll read as you get later into the book, one of the hardest questions I had to ask myself was, what is it about me that's attracting all of this drama? What is it about me that's what I mean. It's a hard question. It's a hard question to ask yourself. But yeah, thank you for sharing. And Penny, any of the endorsements? Because obviously you finished the book, right?
I finished the book, yeah. But like Caroline, I'm going to go back in. I wanted to finish it because I was excited to see where you'd been for the last 35 years.
Yeah. You know all about where I've been.
I went steamrolling straight. Where's he been? What's he done? What's he been up to? He hasn't changed a bit. And what have I been doing? So yeah, so it's amazing that all the endorsements, they're all good. But I think what's got me back to here with you is I actually had Bob Proctor come up on my stream for some reason on my phone, and it was through him that I then saw you and thought, oh, I know him. That's Mark from school.
Hilarious.
And being a bit nosy, like I am, thought, oh, join him as a friend.
That's amazing.
Read his book.
That's amazing. So actually, despite the fact
universe has been following me,
despite the fact we've known each other for 40 years or whatever, and the fact that we haven't seen or spoken to each other for quite some time, you've actually found me again via Bob Proctor.
Yeah. So Bob's got to be the best one that you've had then, because he was the one that brought me back to meeting you again.
That is brilliant. That is absolutely.
So it's, and obviously I've had a varied life over the last 35 years, highs and lows, but I've always been in sync, or to point some of in synchronization with the universe, because I've always set myself goals and achieved every single one of them. But then I got to last year when we got to lockdown and thought, where am I going and what am I doing? I've achieved everything I wanted to, and I'm 50. Is it over? And that's when Bob Proctor then pinged onto my stream, then saw Mark Wilkinson, and here we go, the next chapter, 50 and fabulous.
And here we are on a Tuesday evening, all having a catch up on StreamYard, which is brilliant, by the way. So Maria's just saying, great conversation, everyone. So that's beautiful. And Matt's going to be here next week, and he was meant to be here tonight, but he sends his apologies. But he said, great stuff, everyone. You're all doing amazing. So that's beautiful. It's great, and this is a great idea. I love it. It's great to all connect like this. And do it live and be in front of an audience and for people to hear your stories as well, right? So let's talk a little bit about, obviously, the mission of the book, because you've all been very, very, grateful and loving to me, which I'm really appreciative of course. All I've done is I've had this idea to share this story for a long time. When I understood what my purpose was, which is to bring joy, knowledge, inspire, create, when I understood what my purpose was, I knew Life Remixed and this book was a way to do it. So that's why I put it out, and that's why I've had this mission for the last 10 years. And it's for the next 10 years. This is like my business card for the next 10 years for me to help as many people as I possibly can, right? Probably for the next 36 years, to be honest, or maybe longer. But what I would say is that, my mission is to inspire others so that other people improve their lives. has that worked so far? Pete?
Yeah.
Pete, all right, let's start with Penny. I'll come back. Pete, I'll come to you last. Penny, has that worked?
Yes, definitely.
And why? And expand on that a little bit.
Well, like I say, everything I've set my mind to, I've achieved. And although I didn't achieve anything at school, since school I've been a high achiever. And good. I've got a degree. I'm a qualified teacher. I never thought I would. Didn't think I could study. I studied. I love studying. And I love sharing the knowledge that I have. And your book has just sort of brought me to, I'm a bit of a crossroads at the minute. I've got a coach and we're working together on getting rid of some of the demons. Brilliant. And this has shown me actually, I need to be moving forward and moving into making them goals a little bit bigger. I think I pigeonholed them and felt good that I had a 9-to-5 job and I was earning money. And then 3 years ago, I decided to break free and start my own company.
Good for you.
So, so it's all a bit, ooh, wow.
Yeah, but hold on for the ride. We've all got the same amount of hours in the day, and the value that you bring. And I know the business. I mean, the business is beauty training. You're trainer kind of stuff, right?
I teach. Yeah, I teach beauty. Yeah, and I've travelled abroad with a friend, and she's got a training company, and we've trained in the Caribbean and in Ireland and places, and I just wondered whether that was still for me or whether I wanted to do something else.
So is that like hair, makeup, nails, etc., all that kind of
all beauty therapy from levels 1 to 3.
Okay, all right, nice.
Yeah, nails, facials, massage, waxing, eyebrows,
perhaps you might want to add perhaps you might want to take some inspiration from me, because they told us at school, Penny, that we never amount to anything. Do you remember?
That? Super. You'll never amount to nothing. And I was like, don't care. I want a party.
Exactly, and we did. But what I would say is that perhaps you could add something to that, add another form of income, another multiple source of income, for instance, and put coaching into that as well and help other people. Because I think you can do it. You've clearly got confidence.
I really would like to reach out to young single mums, because that's what I was.
Wow.
And I've achieved, and I want them to know that they can. So that's been sort of there.
So I'm looking forward to reading. I'm looking forward to reading your book.
Oh, gracious me! I don't think I need to put that down on paper until not while my parents are still here.
Make your peace. Make your peace with
your parents. Anything.
Thank you, Penny. Thank you. So, Caroline, as far as sort of chapter 1 goes, but also how far you've got as well in the book, to inspire yourself and other people, do you feel that that's working?
Yeah, definitely. A bit like Penny, I'm at a crossroads in my life, and 50's nothing. I'm approaching 60. It's scary because I don't feel that old.
No.
So
no.
I was the same. I didn't achieve anything at school. As I said, I was drinking, smoking, bunking off school and all those sorts of things. But I knew when I left school, I knew I could do better. So I did study. I did get a GCSE. It's my one and only. All the others are CSEs. But I've never been asked for my results of my CSEs. I just say I've got 7. Nobody ever asked what they were, and they're absolutely rubbish. They're not worth anything.
But the thing about education, Caroline, the thing about education is the word education I mentioned last week on the course. Education is from the word educo, which is Greek, which means to draw out from within. So education is not about you learning and remembering every single little thing they try to teach you at school. Education is actually meant to be us finding what the greatest Penny is, what the greatest Caroline is, what the greatest one of any of us is, and bringing that out of you to actually show that to the world, because you are completely unique. We're all totally unique out of billions of people. There's no one else like us. So why would we self-defeat? At the end of the day, that educo is to find out the best thing about you and bring it out of you, Caroline. So yeah. But as far as the inspiration part of this, are you feeling kind of like you're in a good place? Or rather, do you feel you're getting the right information to be able to move forward in an inspired way, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Because I love learning. I have got a degree. I graduated 2013, so not that long ago. So I'm always open for learning and supporting people and talking to people. I'm very much a people person, and like you say, drawing that out of them, putting people at ease so they feel that they can achieve that. I've actually got a teaching qualification as well. But I want to learn more about me. So, and that's what it's inspiring me to do, is find out about my personality and my personal life, because I can put this mask on and go and do my job, but I've got all this going on personally behind that. So I want to sort that out and then be that better mentor or coach, or help inspire people, younger people especially, give them that bit of confidence to say you can change your life.
Come and join us. You can remix your life. That's it. And come and join us on the next E-Colours session as well, Caroline. I think you'll really enjoy it. I think you'll really get a lot out of that.
Is that on the 10th of April?
10th of April, but I'll make sure you get a link. Yeah, come and join us because I think you get value. Diana, you disappeared there. Hello.
So sorry about that. Well, obviously, I finished work quite late, tried to get on there, and then I didn't charge my laptop, so it just died. So that's good.
Oh, so top colour yellow.
Laptops, yeah.
So top colour yellow. That's the sort of thing we would do. Miss the details sometimes. It's cool. Don't worry. So as far as being inspired, I mean, I know obviously that you're inspired anyway. So how you've ended up, coming to me in the first place, because you want to get moving, you want to inspire yourself, and but obviously your day job, you want to tell us a bit more information, and obviously if Life Remixed has inspired you with chapter 1 or anything that you feel can get you moving.
Yeah, so I mean, I've always been very much into self-development, as you know, and I'm nowhere near. I feel like I'm back. I'm re-inspired, to be honest with you. Now started this journey, which is wonderful, to be honest, because I think I reached a point where I was just a little bit sort of just stagnant, and I'm going to get there eventually. As you know, my job is really demanding, so I was just kind of getting. I'm a social worker. I'm a team manager of in a child protection MASH team, so every day is really demanding and challenging, and alongside trying to get my book written and everything, I felt like I wasn't really getting anywhere. And as I say, I put it out to the universe to get a coach, and I'd not heard of you before, and I was just really inspired by just the things that you're doing, and some of the things that I feel like, if I was the coach that you're meant to be, my coach, and it was just really great. Some of the things that I didn't even know you was writing a book when I tried to when I was looking. I didn't know you was writing a book. I didn't know that one of your goals is to do your PhD. That's one of my goals. I just feel like we've got quite a lot of similarities, lots of differences, but there are similarities there. And yeah, I'm just really inspired, and I'm really enjoying every minute of it.
That's beautiful, Diana. Thank you for saying that. I do appreciate it. Ian, I mean, as far as because you've read the whole book, obviously now, as far as, did I, I don't want to say, did I hit the spot? It's not about me. Did it hit the spot with you? And is it something that you think that's going to help other people as well? That's the important bit.
Yeah. I felt a lot of resonance, and particularly in these early on chapters, your experience, traveling around the world as a DJ, I can relate to, not in the DJ part, but I was traveling so much, and not short travel either. 1 week I'd be in Nigeria, then the Philippines, and then Australia, then the UK, and it was pretty ridiculous. I think I calculated it 1 year that I spent the equivalent of about 3 to 4 weeks in the air or at an airport somewhere. And at one point, I had 5 gold cards with different airlines. Like it was just mental. that sort of life on the road, as much as I loved it, it's exhausting, and it unfortunately sort of played a big part in getting divorced from an amazing woman. And when I went through that, I don't think I really allowed myself to grieve that, and in fact traveled even more. And it got to a point where I was at another friend's really beautiful, extravagant wedding in Italy at this castle, and I think it was the trigger of watching someone else declare their vows just triggered something in me, and I was meant to go sailing around in the Med for a week, and I just basically had a breakdown. I didn't know what was going on at the time, but I just called my sister and said, I need to come. I don't know what's wrong, but I'm going to jump on a plane. And I flew to London. And I remember we were actually flying into Gatwick, and another plane got on the active runway, and we did this sort of emergency, we pulled up. And I remember thinking at the time, I thought, I don't really, if we crash right now, I'm okay with that. And it was, I went to basically just had my nervous system just gave up. And that was what also triggered me to move to Bali and to be in a really nurturing environment, so that I didn't get to that point of chronic disease where you got to, but it was certainly a massive wake-up call for me. So I can relate to that. And I love, what Bob Proctor said and what you've repeated a few times, where your way is not working. Just try some of mine. And you repeat this throughout the book. And there's so many brilliant strategies. And all I can say for anyone is just try them on. It's the only way you're going to really find if it's going to fit for you is if you try it on. And if your way's not working, then what a great opportunity to try something different. Find out if it works for you in the same way that it's worked for you, Mark. So in that regard, I find it really inspiring. And I wrote in my Amazon review, if this book helps one person not have to get to that point of breakdown, I think it's been a worthwhile exercise.
Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate that. I think I'm getting so much amazing feedback from people that are buying it and reading it, and people leaving nice reviews and comments. And I suppose that's one of the reasons I did it. One of the major reasons I did it was that I just want to go here. There's something here that you might find interesting and you might learn from. And if it's one line or it's the entire book, it doesn't really matter. But if it just clicks, and something that I've learned that resonated with me, and I can share with the world, then that's important, and that's part of the mission, of course. And so I really appreciate hearing from all of you. And Peteski, as far as obviously being inspired and stuff like that, you've got your own little story there as well. I know you're going to share it, but also as well the whole piece about when you're younger, you don't necessarily know any different, or you don't know there's a way out, do you?
No, not at all. No, we lived through that times, mate, and it was the high times, wasn't it? And you're invincible to the world. There's nothing worries you. You're 10 foot tall, like you said, and you've been the DJ in front of all them people. God only knows what that felt like. It must have been godlike, because we certainly looked up to you guys every weekend, and so reading them first. That first chapter about how you sort of pulled it all together and scrimped and saved and got the records and went out there and started playing and wanting to become that, into that sort of, that scene. And the way you got there is just brilliant. I mean, I didn't know you way back then. And, so I'm sort of, we are friends now, and we've spent some years together working together. So it's like filling in the gap of the bit that I didn't know about you as well. And, the parts in the book where you start talking about, when you had your collapse. I mean, I always interpreted it like a collapse, like, okay, it's like fatigue or something just gave up. But then, when you start talking about the amount of pain, the deliberating pain you went through, and then, with all the painkillers and all the rest of it, and then the addictions onto the painkillers and leading into all sorts of huge weight loss and everything else. I never knew that about you, mate, until I read it, really. I know recently you've talked about it in your podcast and everything else, but it's like I said, listening to that, mate, and reading it in words is just
it was savage. It was savage, and I was getting ready to just give up, to be honest. It was a really difficult time, and it didn't stop. It went on for 18 months, and then the bankruptcy came a few years after that, and it was just there was just my 30s were not exactly my finest hour. At the same time, they were also wonderful learning events, and I think that's the important bit. Is if we learn from physical pain or mental pain or challenges or anything like that, if we're listening and we learn from it, then we can actually do something about it. And then hopefully, go on and help other people. It's no accident that a lot of most millionaires were bankrupt in their 30s. It's not an accident that a lot of people that work with, people that might be, in addictions or have been addicted themselves and then recovered from the addictions, and I hope to help a lot of people in that sense with Life Remixed as well. So it's good stuff, and I really appreciate that. And as far as the sort of inspirational bit, Pete goes, Pete. So just a quick rundown of what's happened to you.
Quickly.
For 10 years, I've known you for about 10 years. For 10 years, you've been talking about doing your own business or thinking about it, or something's been going on up here, and you've been a bit like, maybe I'll do this or this or this. And I've heard it a lot, and I've said, yeah, Pete, go for it, make it happen. And then something happened recently.
It did, mate. And I think what the point got to was the whole COVID situation. I think that me working in the aviation sector, walking into Manchester Airport and seeing every single plane on the ground really resonated with me. The fact that, that was my single source of income. And I'm watching every plane on the ground. And you've been saying for so long, multiple sources of income, and all this. And I went, this has to change. I still had my job. I was still luckily in employment. I didn't get furloughed as in construction. But it was at that moment I sort of realised, something needs to change. Fast forward a little bit, I have been following you, Mark, and I've been picking up on this, for a long time. And then we had a phone call. We had a phone call on a Monday, and I wasn't feeling the best. I'd had the day off. I was feeling a bit blue, whatever. And for one reason or another, me and you had a bit of a half-hour chat, and I put the phone down, and that was the moment I realised, right, I'm making the decision now. I'd already made the decision. This was it. Bob Proctor, Mark Wilkinson, I'm listening. This is it. And, on everything I own, the very next day, the phone rang. And I got into a conversation with a very old friend who I haven't talked to for many, many years. And the old cog started going. And I thought, how do I make this conversation work for me? And this went on for the rest of the week, and by the end of the week, I was invited to go into business with someone, which we did this year. I had quit my job in January. I had a 6-figure sum, like Mark did, and this is my calling. This is what it was. So, when people talk about vibrations and the energies and everything out there in there, I was not a believer of this, by the way. From that day, I am now. Absolutely, without doubt, it's out there. The law of attraction, you've just got to believe. You have to believe, and it will come.
Brilliant.
Honestly,
I would say there's no such thing as a coincidence.
No,
but it's the moment you decided, and the moment you chose to believe that I've made a decision. I'm going to change. This is going to happen, and the phone rings the very next day. It's no coincidence. It happened everything happens for a reason. It happened exactly on time. Exactly as you would have liked it to have happened. And now, in Think and Grow Rich, I've said before that from 45 to 65 is a man's most effective years on the planet. And and how old are you, Pete?
45.
You just started, man. You're just starting. Come on. Hang on. We've got a very special guest. Here's Jason Anchor MBE saying brilliant. Wow. Jason, big love, mate. Big love having you here, Jason. I'm looking forward to you joining us as well, mate. Brilliant stuff. Jason's a top fella. I was bigging you up earlier, Jason, in case you didn't hear that. But great to have you here, Jason. But yeah, exactly. Make a decision, and then things just fall into place and just happen. And the law of attraction, the law of vibration, and there's a lot more to it. And the further you get into Life Remixed, the more I'll read you about the universal laws. Some of you were on the 5 days to remix your life course last week. And I spoke about some of the universal laws. It's worth investigating every single one of them, because when you get into tune with them, life becomes like heaven on earth, or whatever you want to call it. And it's a real game changer, because all of a sudden you get out of the negatives, you stop worrying. You're just focused, and Pete, all power to you, mate. All power to you. I love it.
Thank you, mate. No, thank you, mate. And I remember on the Friday, I was so excited to ring you. I was so buzzing.
I was outside Waitrose, and I'm like, "You all right, Pete? I'm trying to get in the shop." But you were all like,
yeah, absolutely. But I think as well,
ever since.
I've been riding it.
good. Enjoy it. And you know, the thing about it is many people, I had this as well. When I was younger and I got on a high and I was like DJing, I was getting loads of gigs or Ministry of Sound or, yeah, it's all going well. Is everything going brilliant? But in the back of my mind or in my subconscious, I'd be going, oh, yeah, but it's all going to go to shit in a minute. And it would, you know, and then guess what? Vroom, you're back down again. You're like, oh, no. And by the way, then I could go, yeah, I knew I was right. I knew it wouldn't last. I knew it. But of course, I've created it. And it's like, oh, you div. So look, I've got a few more questions for you because we've been on for almost an hour already, which is amazing. And I love the chat and I love seeing you all. Let me ask you a quick question. And then you can just, any one of you can just put your hand up or just answer it, whatever you want to do. But I like this little question because obviously I'm talking about negative emotions and I've got a few quotes from the start of chapter 1 and a few remix opportunities at the end of chapter 1. But before we get to those, my addictive behavior clearly led for me to some negative places. Right? And if I could go back and talk to my 20-year-old self, I'd have a few nice words for him. And I'd say, you want to be a DJ? That's great. Well done. You know, I'm glad you love your music and why not go for it? But actually, the other thing you can do alongside that is talk about assets, multiple sources of income, other things you can do. You know, my parents would say, well, you should have a trade. I was like, I don't want to trade. You know, but what they should have said to me was, which they didn't know about because they couldn't, but what they could have said to me was, have multiple sources of income, work on that, DJ at the weekends, you know, enjoy your life, but have assets and make sure you've got a nice spread of everything so that you can enjoy it, so that you're going into the music industry without all the anxiety of chasing the gig and chasing the high and chasing the money and chasing. So my question to each one of you guys, and take it in whichever order you want, just go first, whoever wants to go. If you could go back and talk to your 20-year-old self, what would you say?
Don't get married too early.
Wow, that's a good one, Caroline, about relationships as well, isn't it? It's about trying to understand yourself first before you go into the relationship, I'd say. Would you agree?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I was married and had 2 children by the time I was 21, 22. So, it changed everything. And I'd just say, can you just wait 10 years or so?
Give me a minute. I just need to get myself together first. Yeah, exactly. No, that's beautiful, Caroline. That's right. But the point is that actually,
my children.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. What I would say is, this is not, to be very clear for everyone listening as well, this is not about regret. This is not about looking back with negativity. This is not about that. It's just, if you could go back and just have a quick word with your 20-year-old self about what you sort of know now, what would you say? And that's good. I think that's interesting advice, Caroline. The thing I said on the 5 days course last week was love yourself first and then overflow with that to love other people. And I think that's so important. And many of us get that wrong. But many of us don't go to a relationship to give love necessarily. We go to get love. And it can be a mistake, particularly for younger people, and it can lead to a lot of heartbreak and problems. Because I've done it a lot. Hang on, we've got Emma's dad. Emma's dad says negative feelings always try to take over, but always replace it with a positive. That's right, Raul. Absolutely right. That's good. That's good news. That's good advice from the father-in-law. I like that a lot. So that's good.
I'll jump in there. And I actually got published for the first time late last year in an anthology entitled Letter to My 10-Year-Old Self. So we went back a few years further. And
which, by the way, Ian, which I've read and is fantastic. Your section in particular of that, your chapter of that, notes to your 10-year-old self, brilliant. Carry on.
You. And the thing that I wanted to say to my child self was to really trust. We have this, in a navigational guidance system that can really tell us when something's in alignment with who we are. Yet, particularly in Western culture, where as men, as young boys, we're taught almost to not feel, and comments like "real men don't cry" sort of have us come out of our bodies so much. And so, for me, it's about really trusting those emotions and trusting that, and learning how to really tune into, again, like I call it, that inner navigational system, because the consequences of not doing that is so drastic, and it leads to things like addictions and anxiety and depression and ultimately suicide. And it's why we do a lot of work with young people, particularly with the e-colors, is giving them a tool to manage those sort of negative thoughts and so on that might send them down that tunnel. So for me, it's about trusting yourself, trusting that intuition, and really learning how to get into your body in order to do so.
Very wise words, mate. And yeah, obviously we're talking to a few schools and councils at the moment about rolling out e-colors to them as well, and that's exciting in itself, because if we can use these tools like Life Remixed and like the e-colors to actually reach out and develop younger generations, then I think that's beautiful, and something that you and I are going to keep working on together, as well as all the other construction and energy and everything else.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate. Diana, you got anything you'd like to say to your younger self?
I think one of the things that jumped out from the work that I've been doing with you and your book, I think comparison. I think that's been one of those things. What is it? Thief of joy. So I think I would say to myself, don't feel insecure about where you are and what you're doing. Just do what you're doing. Don't measure yourself against everybody, because you are you. That'd be something that I would do. Also, the multiple sources of income, which I need to work with you on, and I hope that I can elevate myself to Pete's happy heights, because I think, I've worked and worked and worked, and it doesn't always, I think that I'm at the time in my life now where I need to branch out and, bring myself those multiple streams and sources.
Well, I shared something this morning that it's about lots of multiple small streams makes a huge river, and it's about that kind of momentum, and it takes time, and it takes energy and effort, and you keep going and keep growing. But I've been doing this for some years now, and it's become very freeing. I'm completely free. I don't work with anyone I don't want to work with. I don't speak to anyone I don't want to speak to, and I just enjoy my life. Great, right?
I think for me, where I'm at right now, what inspires me about your story, that you can go right to the bottom in terms of your finances and resources, and look where you are now. So I'm nowhere near where you are now, but I'm not at the bottom either. So there's hope for me, and I'm quite inspired.
Well, that's great, Dana. And the thing about it is that the thing for me is the fact that hitting rock bottom was the bit that actually catapulted me back out, because my uncle actually said to me, he said, "You've still got time, Mark." I was 38, living in my mum's bedroom, signing on, thinking, what the hell just happened after 20 years of music? And my uncle said, "No, you've still got time, Mark." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, all right, I have." But I wasn't sure. But here we are, 12 years later. I'm now just turned 50, happy, healthy, wealthy, married, and all that great stuff that you read about. And it's not an accident. It's because I followed some basics. I followed some basic universal laws and went, right, okay, because my way wasn't working, so try another. And it led to success and happiness. And I think the more, certainly for me, many people will just sort of coast through life. I think one of the quotes I said last week with one of the guys, Gary, was that a lot of people tiptoe through life hoping that they're going to get safely to death. And that's no way to live. It's no way to live, It's like, get out there. Someone also said, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much room. Do you know what I mean? So like, let's get up there, let's get out there, let's live on the edge and go for it. Obviously you've got to have foundations, you've got to, be sensible, but at the same time, get on with it, go for it.
Definitely.
So no, I love it, Diana. Thank you. And Penny, what about you? Your 20-year-old self, what would you say to her?
Well, it was back dark, lonely days then. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, because it was hard being 18, having a kid, youngest mum going around the school. It was hard, really hard. But I achieved and I achieved and I achieved and I achieved. But I wish I wasn't so hard on myself back then.
Yeah.
It was a bit frantic. It was a bit frantic that you will work 24 hours in a day and raise a child.
Yeah, that's a tough ask, especially as if you're a single mum as well. But actually, I love the fact, I didn't know, I don't know what you've been doing for the last 35 years until you tell me one day, or write a book about it. But the fact you've got you say a degree or a master's, or
not a master's. I actually quite inspired to do a master's. I was googling that the other day. Now I've got my degree in education. I'm a qualified teacher with my degree. But I did that. I vowed to myself that by the time I was 40, I would be teaching full time, and I was.
Yeah, right. So what are you going to do by the time you're 60 then?
Well, 51, I'm going to be a multi-millionaire. So we've got a year. So we better
all right. Let's get going.
Yeah.
Right then. Excellent.
So, all you lot, let's get cracking.
You know what? As well, it's so important. It's so important, like connecting with people. You know, it's like if you find me a multimillionaire, and you'll find their power team, you'll find their people around them that they've all connected with lots and lots and lots of other people, and they've all risen up together. Yeah, there's not one multimillionaire on this planet who did it on their own ever.
There you go.
You know?
I've got the 6. I've got 6.
Yeah, this is it.
What are we waiting for?
This is power team number 1. And actually, this is I'm loving this book club. One of the things I would say is that one of the things in Think and Grow Rich, which obviously Pete you'll come to if you haven't got to it already, is the power of the mastermind. And the power of the mastermind is basically, get a group of people, probably no more than about 8 people, but get a group of people that meet together on a regular basis and actually share ideas and concepts about how they can help one another grow together. And so many of us don't do this. But actually, do you know what? That's good. I've just given myself an idea. The Life Remixed Mastermind Club. It's coming. It's happening, right?
I'll be there.
In the golf club, yeah?
Sorry?
At the golf club.
At the golf club, everybody welcome. But no, it's really important. Actually, that's a great idea. And the bottom line is that masterminding with other people that are like-minded that can help each other. So, for instance, if I've got like strategies and things that I could help you with, that you might see my social media and that kind of stuff's growing really well, and you want to part of that, well, great, okay, I can help you with that, and you can help me with this, and that's how it works. The power of the mastermind is massive, absolutely massive. Pete, I think you're last, Pete. On this one, your 20-year-old self, would you get him in a headlock and tell him to?
No, to be honest with you, I really enjoyed it. But probably the first thing I would tell him is get some tickets down at Shroom, go find a guy called Mark Wilkinson, and have a weekend with Mark. So let's go live a weekend down there with you. But I've got 2 beautiful children, and whether I'm talking back to myself as a 20-year-old, I'm actually talking to my kids now at that age. And and it's all about what we're talking about there, the multiple source of income and investments and everything. Trying to get that through to an 18 and a 20-year-old, it's not the easiest. And we've held a little bit of money back, for my son. He just wants to go out and buy a brand new Golf GTI, and I'm trying to say to him, why don't you just get a little bit cheaper car, and
well, hang on. You need to get in Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
You need to get in Rich Dad Poor Dad, and you need to get Robert Kiyosaki, because Robert was Kevin Green's mentor, and Kevin Green's one of my business coaches and mentors. You need to get him this book and explain to him that if he wants to get that car, tell him to spend his money on enough assets that will give him the monmoney to pay for the car. Because if he went and bought a couple of properties or used a bit of money for investment, got a couple of buy-to-let properties, and he wanted that car and he wanted to pay £300 or £400 a month for it or something like that, get the £300 or £400 a month from the investment, and that pays for the car. Job done.
I've already told them they'll both have a house in less than a year, and they both looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "That's your goal. You both have a house in less than a year." But you've got to give them that. You've got to be straight with them, else they'll never do it. You're not thinking on that sort of level at that age. And I think we could have all, if we'd all had someone who was there to mentor us at that age, life maybe have been a little bit different for us all. And
well, that's the mission, mate. That's the mission. That's the mission. Now, as a 50-year-old man who's been through the ringer and come out the other side, that's my mission. I think get that.
Was it in Bob, and he talked about investing? Was it $20 a week or something from when you're the age of like 18 or 20
with compound interest? With compound interest, compound interest is interesting. It's quite hard to find. It's probably the quickest way to do it now is through property, and that's one of the things that that's why Emma and I are accelerating a lot of what we do with property, because we've left it later than 20 years old to invest that kind of money. But property. It's a good way to do it, but
I mean, it's frightening for the kids, but
No, they can jump in. Javed's just joined us from LinkedIn. He said, well said, and he's really enjoying the conversation, so that's really cool. Thank you, Javed. We'll come on to the bits that I'm going to read from the book in a second, or just share with you from the book and get your opinions on. But before we do that, I've got my agenda from Emma, as you well know. Yeah, she's done a lovely job. Thanks, Ems. Everybody needs an Emma, by the way. So, as you well know, chapter 1 is called Another One Bites the Dust. And for me, it was like a collapse that kind of hit me, physical pain, obviously mental pain as well. And things got really dark for a while. You know, without going too much into detail, I mean, you know, Caroline, you shared a little bit last night. I don't know if you're happy to share again, and perhaps anyone else, if they've got anything, you know, where you remixed your own life, where you faced the challenge and then managed to come out of it, Caroline.
Yeah, because my first marriage ended in a very, very messy divorce that ended up being, you know, having a lot of mental abuse. Not pleasant at all. So I was single parent then with the 2 children, and I met somebody else, fell in love, got married, and I was working 12-hour shifts at the time in a dementia unit. So quite a stressful job, quite a difficult job. And then I had my youngest son, so this is 24 years ago. After I'd had him, which is an exciting time, you got this new baby. I just bit into an apple one day, and the right side of my face was paralysed. I couldn't. It was like when you've been to the dentist. So I thought I'd had a stroke, because I was on my own at the time, and I didn't know what was going on. But I'd actually got this, what is, you know, Bell's palsy, and they've no idea why that happens. But it's quite a frightening thing when you suddenly lose the use of part of your body. Just out of the blue, it just stops. Like, you know exactly how it feels. So I couldn't close my eye, I couldn't blink, I couldn't close it when I went to sleep. It just stayed open. So I had to physically blink my eye all the time with my finger, you know, keep doing it. I couldn't smile, couldn't frown, couldn't laugh, couldn't drink, couldn't eat. So it was quite frightening and hard when people are coming to see this new baby, and it should be an exciting time. But as I said last night, Pete and his friend, who were a little bit like the In-Betweeners, came and visited me.
The northern In-Betweeners.
The northern version of the In-Betweeners. And, you know, they sort of cheered me up with their laughing and joking and saying that the aliens were capturing beautiful people's faces to make clones with. And I couldn't even,
That's
it was
nice.
it just sort of made me, well, I couldn't laugh. So I kind of did this spluttering thing, but it really made me think about that in a different way. You know,
it changed your state, didn't it? It changed your state, changed your perception of what was going on, right?
Yeah, because I could have gotten easily quite into it, you know, a depression with that. And then so I managed to cope with that. They got me a patch, so I was like Gabriella, who said I had a pink eye patch. Yeah. So, you know, to make me trendy, even though I got this paralysed face, and I just went out and got on with it. But as that progressed, I then got ME as well, ME, chronic fatigue as well. So I ended up not being able to, pretty much like yourself, not walk properly. And I think if I hadn't have had a baby that needed me and kept crying, and, you know, I would have just stayed in bed. I would have just given up and said, I can't do this. But they kept me going, and I got through that. And I know, you know, I had to go from rock bottom like yourself. Just keep going, keep moving a little bit, and I did do some rehabilitation, and luckily with the university group, who said just do what you can, make little achievements for each day, and then each week add a little bit more on. So that was how I got out of that.
It's interesting, Caroline. Thank you for sharing this beautiful story, and obviously, you know, challenging but beautiful that you recovered from it. And obviously, Pete's quite the comedian when he wants to be.
Kept us smiling all these years.
It always does. Always
quite
puts a smile on my face, Pete.
But this is the founder of Forbes, BC Forbes, the founder of Forbes magazine. When I like to start each chapter with a quote or a few quotes. History has demonstrated that the most notable winners usually encounter heartbreaking obstacles before they triumph. They win because they refuse to become discouraged by their defeats. And I think that's really, really, it's a beautiful thing, right? He's a very successful man. But the bottom line is that well, someone's just jumped in here as well. Says, "Well done, Caroline. I had this when I had a 3-week-old baby too." Wow. I don't know who shared that, but clearly you've resonated there as well. So, these challenges that we face, such inspirational stories from you all, from Emma as well. She's loving it. That's great. Yeah, I mean, these are really important things. And there's another quote here at the start of it from the Great Gatsby. It says, "A little party never killed nobody." But it's certainly not me for 6. Let me tell you that. Has anyone got anything else they want to share? Otherwise, around remixing their own life or coming through a hardship, please do if you want to. No, we're all good.
No, I mean, I literally, I've been on my hands and knees, and when I say that, I've literally been on my hands and knees and lost everything. In fact, twice I've came back from it, and it's all a lesson. We all go back. We're all remixing our lives all the time, I guess. But this right now is my the point where I build up the resilience to know, well, I've been there and I'm here now. And I've had this journey and I'm getting better at it. I did. I worked hard. I got up the corporate ladder like yourself, Matt. I got to Heathrow. I worked in China, around the world, and travelled quite a lot. And but then I got into a comfort zone, and I thought, that's it now. I'm going to be on my comfort zone, and here we go. But it does resonate. You have to go back somewhere, look back, remind yourself. They go, right, I've been there. Now I'm going forward. And I think this is your book is just bringing all that together for everybody. Like I said in my post, we've all got lessons that we can take from here.
Thank you, mate. That's amazing.
Thank you.
No, listen, it's my pleasure. I've been wanting to do it for years, and I finally got around to it. And by the way, Caroline, who's the woman who said she had a 3-week-old baby is actually a friend of mine, a coaching client of mine called Kia. So your story just resonated with Kia as well. So she understands your journey there. So so look, we'll finish up now because we've been here for an hour and a quarter and it's been beautiful and it's been amazing to see you all. But before we do go, let's just look at because I love to do at the end of every chapter the remix opportunities. Here I am at my first official photo shoot. My first official photo shoot, age 2. I swear. One day that matching tie and shirt will actually become back into fashion, and I will. That will somehow look cool one day, but I'm not sure. But let's just look at the. Thank you, Penny. Yeah. It looks even better. It looks even better. Yeah, I was quite cute there, wasn't I? Anyway, so let's just look at I've got 4 bullet points at the end of each chapter, or sorry, at the end of this chapter, I've got different bullet points, obviously, at each one. Just let me know how this makes you feel, right? When you understand the power of a negative thought or negative thoughts, you'll never allow another one to stay in your mind for very long.
Love that.
It's working.
Yeah.
It's working. Yeah. Yes. Chaps?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I've lived there. You attract that negativity back in if you keep it there. I've had my ups and downs, relations, and everything now. And I don't know where I read it, but it's just the dark clouds passing. You just got to think that negative thought, it will pass. It's a thought. And behind every dark cloud, there's a blue, sunny sky, So that's how I deal with it. I don't know how everybody else deals with negative thoughts, but I just let them pass by now.
It's true. And I think when you understand the power of the negative thought, my overwhelming negative thoughts and feelings took me into incurable disease and bankruptcy. And so when I understood that, I was like, oh, that's not happening again. So I'm just going to keep smiling the whole way through this, right? So Ian, what do you think about that?
I remember witnessing a program, a self-development program for young people and teenagers, and they were teaching this concept of, that thought comes into your mind and just recognize it as a thought and allow it to pass by rather than hold on to it. And to watch an 8-year-old just look at what happens when you have this negative thought, and they just responded like, Oh, hi, Thor. Thanks for coming. I'm going to say goodbye now. And years it would be good. And yet we, in our adult life tend to cling on to these things so much more, and it lowers our vibration and so on. So just the ability to, just know its energy just passing through and exactly like you say, just let it do that, let it pass through.
I think it's fascinating. I think children can be our greatest teachers in many ways. A child that's in tune with themselves and the universe. A child can visualize themselves doing something. They can spend the entire day playing make believe with something. They visualize it. They know it and they're in it and they're living it. And then we get out in the adult world and we've got bills to pay and things to do and all this kind of stuff. And we kind of lose the creative part of ourselves in a big, big way. And part of this journey is almost like, I don't know, like layers of an onion, like peeling off and finding, going back and finding yourself. Or another way I say it is unlearn everything that you learned that you thought was right, unlearn all of that, and then start again and start learning something. And I was fortunate enough to, Marcy Shymoff, who I've interviewed from The Secret the other day, what did she say to me? She said something like, thank you, Mark, for losing everything so that we don't have to, and you can now teach us all this stuff. And I went, yeah, all right. I was like, thanks, Mark. Thanks. You got me with that one. So 3 more bullet points. You create exactly what you're thinking and feeling. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true, isn't it? I mean, Ian was clearly living on the beach in Bali, but his heart was clearly in southwest London, and he was thinking about it, and he was feeling about it. I mean, don't get me started. We want to go the other way, mate. But the point is that he was using his thoughts and feelings to come and help his family and everything else. What we think about and what we feel about is actually what materializes in our lives. That's my experience anyway. And actually, the power for me was going back and tracing back to all the negatives and going, actually, I was thinking and feeling that, and it led to that. And I was, and the pain points. It's almost like tracking the pain points and going, oh, there's another one. There's another one. So,
even on that point, Mark, the experience of, because Bali is an amazing place to be during lockdown. It's an amazing place to be at any time, particularly during lockdown, just because it was so quiet. And I had this thought, I felt a calling to come here, and I can't explain that necessarily. No. It's amazing if I didn't honor that sort of gut feel. I don't know what would have happened. Probably, I don't know. But we need to honor that intuition sometimes, and that's what I speak about, and really being able to go inside and get in touch with what's inside us. And I know I'm here for a reason.
Yeah, well, that's part of the purpose. That's part of the purpose piece as well, Ian. And I also love the fact you're here because you're a half decent golfer, and we can have some good rounds. So me, Ian, and Pete will be on the next. We need one more for a 4-ball, ladies, if you're up for it. Anyway, right. So always look after your body because you only get one.
Yeah. About your health, what do you have?
Yeah. Health is wealth, and we particularly when we're younger, but some people even into their 40s, 50s, 60s. My friend called my dis-ease when it hit me and unable to walk for 18 months. He called it nature's handbrake because he said, like, slow down. You need to start listening to this, otherwise you're going to go off the cliff, sort of thing. And I just found that really interesting because many of us just abuse this molecular structure we've been given. We smash ourselves to bits, don't we? Quite often, and it doesn't serve us really. So I think it's important to share that message, with as many people as possible, and particularly in obviously your work as well, Diana. With working in social care and stuff like that. I think it's so important to help people, and I know you do, which is great. And here's the last point for tonight, and then obviously I want your thoughts on it, because you guys are all on a journey. Every single one of you here is like Penny and Caroline have said they're at a bit of a crossroads and they're deciding what they're going to do. Yes, Diana's got the book coming out and she's motivated and wants to get into multiple sources of income. Ian's here in the UK and we're working together on e-colours and all sorts of great stuff we're putting together. And Pete's just like flying, right? So, give me your thoughts. There's closing kind of thoughts on all of this kind of stuff, right? if I, in chapter 1, was all about the collapse, all about the negativity, all about the difficult times and everything, the pain, the ravaged pain in my body. If I could create all of this crap with an overwhelming amount of fear, doubt, and worry and negative thinking, what could I create if I changed everything, all my thoughts and feelings, to only positives?
That's really inspiring. That really gets me, because I just feel that there's hope. It gives you hope. It gives you inspiration. And yeah, I'm retraining myself, you know, at the grand old age of 50 now. I'm learning new things, you know, and I'm retraining my mind. But it's a daily process. But that's really powerful.
It is, because, you know, everything, you know, many people, as I said earlier, tiptoeing through life to get safely to death and that kind of stuff. And you know, they might just sort of think that, you know, being sort of, you know, safe, you know, what's the great thing? All our parents probably taught us: better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one, wasn't it? Better safe than sorry. Yeah. What a load of old bollocks that was. No, anyway, my point is that they were looking out for us, because they were saying, you know, be safe, you know, look after yourself, which is right. But, you know, if you take that as a young person, if your parents are better safe than sorry, you think, oh, well, you know, I better not take any chances. I better not put myself out there. And it's actually some of the worst advice, right? Because at the end of the day, if you put yourself out there, you've actually got half a chance of like being effective and helping other people. So, Diana, I love the fact that you're you know, you're talking about multiple sources of income. In Think and Grow Rich, 500 millionaires he studied for 25 years. And he talks about the flow of life. And the flow of life of positivity takes you onward and upward to happiness, health, and wealth. The flow of negativity will take you down into unhappy, sick, and broke. Yeah. And I have proved that spectacularly well. And I'm sharing it obviously with you all. So I think that's part of the, you know, most of the things that people talk about, money and money being really important and everything else. The bit that they miss is the fact that it starts in here. And then if you take that positive feeling and that positive thinking out into the world and then activate it, your results can pretty much only be positive, really. And so, you know, I think that's amazing. Go on, Ian. Sorry.
Yeah, Mark, on that point, you know, we often hear about we need to raise our vibration. And I think it's a bit of a misconception, because our vibrations are naturally high. But what we need to do is get rid of those old patterns and that negative thinking that brings those vibrations down. So much you've done is about that unlearning, and you know, parents do the best they could. They subconsciously impose some of their old limiting beliefs and patterns on us, and it's about unlearning a lot of that so we get back to a natural high vibrational state.
We are all victims of victims, and it's been passed down. It's been passed down hundreds, if not thousands, of generations of years of people. Every parent, and every person, I believe, is doing the best they can with the knowledge they have right now. And you know, so I totally forgive and I accept. Forgiveness, acceptance, and gratitude are the three things that will free you from anything that you're holding on to, any of that belief system, any of that story, that BS. You know, if you're holding on to it too tightly, it will drag you down. But if you get into forgiveness, forgive everyone, everything, including yourself. Accept total acceptance of life and love, and just accept everyone and everything as it is, and then start being grateful for anything that you can feel grateful for, and it's powerful. It's really powerful. And it's a beautiful way for me to end it, really, just to say I am massively grateful to every single one of you for being here for an hour and a half on a Tuesday evening here in the UK. It's been really heartwarming for me to know that, you know, my message through Life Remixed is reaching, you know, you guys, and then I hope that's got ripples in a pond will go out to other people as well, and help, you know, other people in your family and all that kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, if you take care of yourself and you start to be more positive and you start to keep that vibration high, as you say, that will automatically just filter out into the people around you. And guess what? The happier that I became, that's how I met Emma, that's how I met my wife, then the happier that my mother and my brother could become, and the happier that all the other people around me could become, because I'm a good person doing a good job, and that's important. And so I think if you guys, you know, all grab that and really run with it, then, you know, the sky's the limit for every single one of them. So any final words from any of you guys? Kevin's just saying it's been a great session. Kevin's got the book coming to Canada, and he may well be a future guest as well. He's not sure, but we'll see. We'll see. But have you guys enjoyed it?
Oh, it's been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Brilliant.
Thanks for all taking part. I hope you'll come back throughout the series. You know, at certain times, if you'd like to come in, or if there's a particular chapter that you want to just go, oh, I really want to talk about that. You know, Pete, you probably might want to talk about the rave days or something at some point. You know,
I'm actually in the book somewhere, Mark. Yeah.
Oh, you are. You may identify yourself. You're in the start. You'll identify yourself at some point, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, my name keeps cropping up. The penny dropped.
The penny dropped. Yeah. I did think that when I saw that the other day. One of the things is that you know, many of you are in the thank yous to the book anyway, and anyone I haven't thanked for this one, I promise to thank in the next one. But it's so nice to see you all. I'm really, really grateful. We've had a wonderful audience tonight. This video is everywhere, so do share it out with your friends and family if you'd like to. But other than that, I'm going to say big love. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thanks for being here. It's that was Life Remixed. Yes, there you go, Ian. There are your colours. I like that. There you go. Oh, bless you. Thanks so much. It's amazing. But what I would say is you know, this has been Life Remixed, Chapter 1, the book club. We're going to be doing this for another 13 more weeks because there's 14 chapters, and then who knows where it will lead on from there. The mastermind club is in here. We're gonna
yeah.
You guys, if you could all stay where you are, I'll just say good night to everyone else, and then we'll say our goodbyes afterwards. So thanks very much for watching, everybody. Really, really appreciate your feedback as well, and do share this far and wide. You know, if it's inspired you to grab your copy of Life Remixed and start to get stuck into it. So big love. Thank you.